right, chapter 34. We had just left off in chapter 33, and the police officers have arrived, the TV stations have arrived. I'm going to need that, Dutch. And they're getting the publicity that they wanted. And so it ends off with Harp's friend Leroy smiling for the news crew when asked if he's going to arrest these cowboys. He smiles and says, yeah, that one for being ugly. No more comments. Chapter 34. Leroy walks back to his car and gets on the radio. The TV woman sees me and holds out a microphone. Young man, why are you here today? I gape at the microphone. Then I hear Smush say, tell her, Train. It's time people heard our side. I take a deep breath. It's a cowboy way, to stand up for yourself when everything is against you. And who's against you? The city? She asked. Yeah. See, these guys put everything they got into the stables, and they do it for free. They don't ask anyone for money, and they really help in the neighborhood way more than what the city does, which is nothing. Harp nods and jumps in. Look, we make do with what we got, but we have enough to feed the horses and keep them happy. We've saved horses from the slaughterhouses and, more importantly, helped kids by giving them something else to do besides gangbanging. You know, teaching them to be responsible for another living being instead of ending someone else's life. Bob gets in on the action. But the city don't care that this tradition has been going on for decades. Instead of celebrating something unique in the city, they just want us out of here so they can build a bunch of new houses that we can't afford to live in. She nods and turns back to me. So do you feel the city isn't giving you a fair shake? I think hard before answering. To me, it feels like these city dudes waited till it stormed and the stables was full of mud and the place looked bad and run down before they swooped in with their cameras. But there was nothing wrong with the horses they took. I mean, look at Boo. He look all right, don't he? When Boo hears his name, I swear he stares right into the camera like he a movie star or something. The reporter pets him on the neck and smiles. Looks like Boo is ready for his close-up. They stop filming, but just as they about to move on to another shot, a big black police bus screeches to a halt behind the bulldozers. The suit leads a group of cops out, and suddenly it feels like things is gonna get ugly. Stand tall, fellas. Looks like they plan to haul us out of here, yells Tex. Haul us out of here, not haul us out of here.
Sounds like haul us out of here.
Yes. A lot of the guys stand up on their saddles like Harper done. Even Smush does it. I know I'd fall off if I stood up, so I try to look as tall as I can instead.
It's too sticky.
Shh.
Too sticky.
Shh. Leroy comes back, shaking his head at the sight of the guys towering over him. You're not making my life any easier, guys. On top of everything else, I have a report here that some horses were stolen from the Fairmount stables last night. Boo shuffles like he understood. I pat his neck. He's getting nervous, like he thinks Leroy is going to take him back. You can't steal what's yours, someone in the back shouts. Snapper. A janitor said it was a bunch of teenagers. Leroy stares right at me. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you, son? I look away like I didn't hear him. I can feel the sweat rolling down my neck. His eyes is still on me, and I feel like I gotta say something or it'll look like the guys is a bunch of thieves. I start to open my mouth. It was me. I did it, Smush says. I give him a sideways glance like, what you doing? I was there too. I did it. I whip around and see Tex with his hand raised. Then Jamaica Bob pipes up.
Mama.
I'm reading to my students.
Can I have my cereal?
In just a minute. Can you wave to my students? Okay. Just a minute. I'm in the middle of my class. I know it doesn't look like it.
Where can I have popsicle?
In a minute. Oh my gosh. I whip around and see Tex with his hand raised. Then Jamaica Bob pipes up. Me too. I was there. Suddenly everyone, even the kids, is saying, it was me. I did it. Until I say it too. Leroy looks at the TV crew who's filming it all, then back at us. I think he knows it was me. "You like that horse, son?" he asked. I nod. "He's my horse, sir." He sighs, scratches his neck, then says loud enough for the suit and the cameras to hear, "Well, as it turns out, I made a call to the vet who checked out those horses that were taken from the stables yesterday. He said that, contrary to what was originally suspected, the horses were not malnourished and that they were actually in pretty good shape." The guys get all quiet. Then Leroy actually smiles a tiny bit. "So, all charges of animal endangerment have been dropped, and the city has agreed to return the rest of your horses." A cheer goes up as the guys wave their hats. The suit throws a fit and starts yelling at the other cops, who just shrug. "But," Leroy holds up his hand, "here we go," says Tex. "That still doesn't solve your two biggest problems, building code violations and land rights. Now, I've made some phone calls, and in light of everything, you have been granted 1 week to upgrade your facilities to code. Do that, and they can't use it as an excuse to tear down the stables. As for who has the rights to that land, that'll be up to the courts to decide. That's the best I can do." I look over at the stables and think, 1 week? Maybe 1 month, or even a year. That place needs some serious work. "We'll take what we can get," Harper says, shaking Leroy's hand. "Thanks, man." Harper soaks in the scene. I can see him looking at the news people and all the crowds gathered around. Then he gets a look in his eyes. I can almost see the wheels in his head start to turn. He grins for the cameras. "Philadelphia. Last year, when they shut down the bunker stables, the crime rate rose in that area because the teens had nothing to do but get in trouble. Support your local culture and help the kids by giving them something healthy to do with their time. Horses, not crime. Come lend a hand and help keep North Philly safe and special." The suit's not happy watching all this go down. "I'll be back in 1 week, and believe me, we'll have that bulldozer ready." I give him the evil eye. "You do what you gotta do, mister. We'll be here." Jamaica Bob shouts out, "Say it, Brother Train." When I look around, I can see the crowd is twice as large now. I guess word got out around the neighborhood and folks showed up. They come up to Harper saying they'll do whatever they can to help. Some people is carpenters, some electricians, some handymen, some is just kids who don't know nothing, but a body is a body that can help out somehow. When everyone leaves and things calm down, suddenly the situation don't look so rosy. There's a lot of work ahead. Harper gets all serious, then starts writing out a week's worth of work on a pad of paper, with a list just for me. It's a crazy long list, but he says I should consider it community service for going behind his back and taking the horses. I can't argue with that. And that's where it stops. All right, coming up next, chapter 35.